Beloved, listen to me carefully. There are seasons in a woman's life when silence is not weakness, restraint is not fear, and privacy is not deception. There are things that lose their strength the moment they are placed before careless ears. There are parts of destiny that can become fragile when they are revealed too soon. Many women have not failed because they lacked ability, character, or potential. They struggled because they shared what should have been protected. They showed what should have remained covered. They explained what God was still shaping in secret. Please hear this with a gentle heart. Not everyone who smiles with you is meant to have full access to you. Not everyone who celebrates you understands the weight of what you are carrying. Not everyone who asks questions deserves every answer. There are 3 things a woman must learn to keep private. Not because she is insecure, but because she has gained wisdom. And if you remember only one thing from this message, remember this: everything does not need to be explained. Sometimes silence is protection. Sometimes privacy is preparation. Sometimes what you keep between yourself and God becomes the very thing that gives you strength for what comes next. So stay with me, because the first thing is something many women reveal to the wrong people without realizing how costly it can become. The first thing a woman must learn to hide is her pain. A woman must be careful about whose hands she places her wounds into. Pain is sacred ground. When pain is trusted to the wrong person, it can become shame, gossip, mockery, or even manipulation. Some people do not listen because they truly care. They listen because they want information. They collect your tears. They remember your weakest moments. Then one day, during an argument or disagreement, they bring those same wounds back to hurt you. Think about that. The story you shared while crying can later become the very story someone uses to control you. This is why strength does not mean having no pain. Strength means knowing where your pain should be poured. There are moments when God allows a woman to cry privately, not because he has abandoned her, but because he is teaching her to lean on him. Not every tear needs an audience. Some tears are prayers. Some tears are healing. Some pain becomes the material from which a stronger woman is formed. Hannah carried deep sorrow, yet she brought that sorrow into the presence of God. Her heart was crying even when her voice was quiet. Heaven understood what people could not see. And that is the lesson. Some pain becomes purpose when it is placed before God, but becomes bitterness when it is scattered among people who do not know how to carry it. So before you tell everyone what broke you, pause. Ask yourself, who has earned the right to know? Not everyone needs your full story. Protect your heart while it is healing. And here is something important. Keeping your pain private does not mean suffering without help. It means choosing safe, wise, trustworthy people instead of opening your wounds to every curious person who comes close. The second thing a woman must learn to keep private is her plans. Vision shared too early can become vulnerable to opinions that were never meant to guide it. There are people who can only see where you have been. So when you describe where you are going, they judge your future through the limits of your past. They may call something impossible simply because they cannot imagine it. They may question your ability because they remember your old struggles. They may even make you feel proud for wanting something that is actually part of your purpose. This is why wisdom sometimes says, build quietly. A seed is hidden beneath the soil before anyone sees the tree. Nobody applauds the seed while it is underground. Nobody celebrates the roots while they are growing in darkness. Yet that hidden season is necessary. The same can be true for your plans. Some dreams need time before they need an audience. Some goals need discipline before they need announcement. Some doors should be walked through before you start telling everyone where they lead. There is nothing wrong with having vision. The danger is exposing unfinished plans to people who have no responsibility for your future. Some will not attack your dream directly. They will simply keep questioning it until you become tired enough to abandon it. They will fill your mind with fear. They will make you doubt what you once believed. So learn to move differently. You do not have to announce every step. You do not have to explain every decision. You do not have to prove your vision before it has had time to grow. Let your work mature. Let your character develop. Let your results speak when the time is right. Sometimes the strongest announcement is not your voice. It is the evidence of what you built in silence. Stay with me, because the third thing is even deeper. It is something many women reveal because they want validation, when what they truly need is protection. The third thing a woman must learn to hide is her spiritual depth. This may sound unusual, but listen closely. Not everyone can understand the depth of your relationship with God. Not everyone will respect the things you carry in your spirit. Some people may admire your faith publicly while quietly feeling uncomfortable with the strength it gives you. Some may call you too much simply because your peace exposes their chaos. Some may question your discernment because they do not understand how deeply you pray, reflect, and listen. This does not mean you should become secretive with everyone or refuse wise counsel. There is a place for mentorship. There is a place for trusted friendship. There is a place for accountability, fellowship, and honest conversation. But there is also a place for sacred privacy. Your relationship with God is not a performance. Your prayer life is not a competition. Your spiritual experiences do not need to become proof that you are special. Some things are more powerful when they remain between you and God. There are moments when you sense direction, receive clarity, or experience deep conviction, and the wisest response is not to immediately tell everyone. Sit with it, pray over it, test it, let it mature inside you. You do not need constant validation for something God is developing within you. The deeper your roots become, the less you need to display them. Real depth does not always make noise. It produces stability. It produces wisdom. It produces peace. And sometimes the most powerful woman in the room is not the one talking the most. She is the one who knows what she carries and does not need everyone else to confirm it. So protect your spiritual life from unnecessary comparison, competition, and attention. What is sacred does not need to be constantly displayed. Beloved woman, understand this clearly. Hiding is not the same as lying. Privacy is not rebellion. Boundaries are not arrogance. Silence is not weakness. There is a difference between being secretive and being discerning. A secret is often protected because of fear or deception. Privacy is protected because something has value. You do not leave every valuable possession in the street for everyone to touch. In the same way, you should not place every part of your heart, every future plan, every spiritual conviction, and every personal struggle into the hands of people who have not shown that they can handle them with care. Wisdom teaches you to recognize access. Some people can know your name, but not your story. Some can know your story, but not your deepest wounds. Some can walk beside you without knowing every destination you are preparing to reach. This is not coldness, it is order. Your heart needs a gate. Your plans need a season. Your spiritual life needs quiet. And if you have been the woman who explains everything, shares everything, and tells everyone what you are going through, do not condemn yourself. You are probably looking for understanding. You are probably hoping someone would finally see you. But now you know better. You can learn a new way. You can become slower with your words and wiser with your access. You can stop announcing what is still growing. You can stop handing your wounds to people who have never earned your trust. You can stop proving your depth to people who only want to measure you. From this day forward, let your life become quieter but stronger. Let your character speak. Let your results speak. Let your peace speak. And above all, let God have the final word over the parts of your life that are still being formed. Jesus himself did not give himself fully to everyone because he knew what was inside people. If the Son of God walked with discernment, how much more should you? There is a quiet dignity that comes with restraint. There is a deep peace that comes from learning what to share, when to share it, and with whom to share it. When you learn to guard your pain, protect your plans, and keep your spiritual depth sacred, you stop bleeding in public. You stop giving away pieces of yourself to people who have not earned access. You stop destroying tomorrow because of what you feel today. You become steady. You become rooted. You become spiritually strong. And there is something powerful about a woman who no longer feels the need to explain every part of herself. May God give you wisdom to know when to speak and when silence is the better answer. May he heal you so deeply that you no longer feel forced to overshare simply because you are hurting. May he establish you so firmly that even those who once questioned you will eventually see the evidence of what God has built within you. Beloved, hold on to this next truth because it may change the way you handle your deepest wounds. Pain is not an ordinary experience. It can become a sacred encounter with growth, change, and transformation. Pain can be the language of transition. It can be evidence that something inside you is moving. When a woman carries pain, she is not automatically weak. She may be becoming stronger than she has ever been. But the real danger is not always the pain itself. The greater danger can be where that pain is placed. Many women bleed emotionally in rooms where there is no healing. They speak from broken places because they desperately want comfort, understanding, or reassurance. But what comes back to them may be curiosity, judgment, gossip, or quiet competition. Not everyone who listens to your story is committed to seeing you restored. Remember that. Some people want the story, but they do not want the responsibility of helping you heal. Pain exposes vulnerability, and vulnerability can create access. When you reveal your deepest wounds to the wrong people, you may unknowingly give them a picture of where you are most sensitive. Some people will not use that information against you immediately. They will simply remember it. They will keep it somewhere in their mind and bring it back when it becomes useful to them. They may remind you of the woman you were during your lowest season while God is preparing you to become someone new. They may use your past to define your present. This is why discernment should come before disclosure. A wise woman learns to notice the difference between someone asking because they genuinely care and someone asking because they simply want details. Not every question deserves a complete answer. Not every listener is a safe listener. And this is where many women get trapped. They believe that because someone is interested in their pain, that person must care about their healing. That is not always true. Stay with me, because this distinction can save you from giving access to people who only know how to collect your wounds. There are people who prefer you when you are broken because your brokenness makes them feel stronger. They are comfortable with the version of you that doubts herself, apologizes constantly, and needs their approval. But when you begin to heal, something changes. When you become confident, peaceful, and clear, they may no longer feel as important in your life. Your healing can expose the unhealthy place where the relationship was built. This is why some relationships end without a major argument. Nothing dramatic happens. You simply grow, and the connection can no longer survive the person you are becoming. Pain shared without wisdom can become a chain that keeps you connected to a season God is trying to close. God may allow certain painful moments to turn your attention inward, not because He wants you isolated forever, but because He wants you to learn where your strength truly comes from. There are moments when silence is not punishment. Silence is protection. There are battles that become harder when they are announced before you understand them. There are situations that become heavier when too many voices enter them. Not every struggle needs commentary. Not every battle needs an audience. Sometimes the safest place for your pain is first in the presence of God. When pain is handled carefully with God, it can produce clarity, wisdom, strength, and authority. But when it is constantly exposed to the wrong people, it can produce confusion, dependence, and delayed healing. A woman who learns to guard her pain stops asking people to validate what they have no power to repair. She stops handing her wounds to people who only know how to touch them, not heal them. She stops repeating the same painful stories simply to prove that what happened to her was real. She understands that healing is not always found in explaining the wound again and again. Sometimes healing begins when you allow God to reach the place that human words cannot reach. There are wounds that begin to close when you stop reopening them through endless conversations. Constantly retelling the same pain can keep your emotions attached to the exact moment you are trying to move beyond. Every time you repeat the story, you may feel like you are processing it, but sometimes you are simply returning to the same emotional room. You have to know the difference. There is a time to talk. There is a time to seek wise help. There is a time to tell the truth about what happened. But there is also a time to stop living inside the story. Consider Hannah. She was misunderstood even by the person who was supposed to recognize what was happening. Yet heaven understood her perfectly. Her sorrow was deep, but her disclosure was selective. She brought her pain before God rather than spreading it across the crowd. And because her pain remained in the presence of God, it was transformed into something greater than the pain itself. It became connected to promise. That is the picture you need to remember. Pain placed in the right hands can become wisdom. Pain placed in careless hands can become another wound. So before you tell everyone what you are carrying, ask yourself one question. Is this person helping me heal, or are they simply helping me talk about what hurt me? There are women who tell everyone their pain and then wonder why bitterness keeps growing instead of peace. They keep opening the same wound and then wonder why it refuses to close. Pain must be planted in the right soil if you want it to produce the right fruit. Guarding your pain does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It does not mean denying your emotions or acting as though nothing happened. It means choosing wisdom instead of impulse. It means understanding that emotions are powerful, but emotions were never designed to become your only guide. When pain takes the lead, it can pull you toward unsafe people, rushed decisions, and conversations you later regret. A wise woman learns to pause. She breathes, she thinks, she prays. Then she asks herself whether the person in front of her has the character to handle what she is about to reveal. Can this person protect her dignity when she is not in the room? Can they keep her private matters private? Can they pray for her without turning her struggle into gossip? Can they correct her without humiliating her? Can they stand beside her without secretly competing with her? These questions matter. And if the answer is no, silence may be the wiser choice. Listen carefully to this next part, because this is where maturity begins to look different. There is a level of growth where a woman no longer needs everyone to see her suffering in order to believe that she is hurting. She no longer needs an audience for every battle. She finds security in God's presence rather than constant human sympathy. She lets God confirm her pain instead of demanding that every person understand it. This kind of woman becomes stable, not because life stopped hurting, but because she learned where to take her heart when it hurts. She can cry without collapsing. She can feel without reacting to everything. She can experience disappointment without giving everyone access to the details. She can ask for help without handing her entire identity to the person helping her. That is maturity. Pain can become powerful information when it is handled with wisdom. It can show you where boundaries are needed. It can reveal what must change. It can teach you who is trustworthy and who is only present when you are useful to them. But pain should be entrusted only to people who have demonstrated love, consistency, wisdom, and the ability to protect what you share. Do not confuse closeness with trust. Someone can be near you and still be unsafe for your deepest wounds. Someone can know you for years and still not have the maturity to carry everything you are going through. Trust should be proven through patterns, not promises. When a woman learns to guard her pain, she protects more than her feelings. She protects her future. She protects her peace. She protects her identity. She stops bleeding on people who never caused the wound. And she stops giving power to people who were never given permission to shape her story. Beloved, hear this with understanding and sobriety. You do not have to tell everyone what broke you. You do not have to explain every scar. You do not have to prove your pain to receive healing. Some things can be carried quietly while God restores you deeply. And when the season changes, people will not need your explanation because they will see the evidence of your transformation. Vision is delicate in its beginning stages. What God reveals to a woman in private is not always meant to become a public discussion. A plant begins as a seed, and every seed needs covering before it can survive the pressure of exposure. Many destinies have not been stopped by enemies. They have been weakened by opinions. A woman who announces her plans too soon opens the door to voices that were never assigned to direct her future. Not everyone has the ability to understand what God has placed in your heart. Many people will interpret your divine direction through the limits of their own experience. When a woman shares her plans before the right time, she gives influence to people who never received the same instruction from God. They begin questioning what God already confirmed. They offer different ideas that slowly pull the vision away from its original direction. Little by little, confusion takes the place of clarity. What once felt like a strong inner conviction becomes weaker because too many outside voices have entered a sacred space. This is how many women lose confidence. Not because God changed his mind, but because they allowed too many opinions to become louder than the conviction God placed within them. There's a difference between wise counsel and casual commentary. Counsel comes from people who are spiritually grounded, emotionally healthy, genuinely wise, and truly committed to your growth. Commentary often comes from spectators who believe they deserve an opinion, simply because you gave them information. Wisdom means knowing who has earned the right to hear your plans and who has not. Silence is not always fear. Sometimes silence is maturity. A wise woman does not feel pressured to explain herself at every stage of the journey. She understands that some things need room to grow before they need an audience. Stay with me, because this principle can completely change how you protect the future God has placed inside you. The Bible gives us many pictures of God working quietly before revealing the final result. Even Jesus spent years in preparation before his public ministry was revealed. The preparation was hidden. The growth was mostly unseen. Yet when the appointed time came, the impact could not be ignored. If even the Son of God honored the process, then a woman must learn to respect the timing of her own process. What God is developing inside you must become strong enough to handle resistance before you expose it to the world. Exposure before establishment creates unnecessary pressure. Many women mistake excitement for readiness. They speak because they are thrilled about what they see coming, not because the vision has been fully developed. But excitement without structure can quickly become disappointment. The moment you announce a plan, people begin expecting results. They start measuring you according to what you said instead of understanding where God is taking you. This can create pressure. That pressure can push a woman into rushed decisions. She begins trying to produce results before the right time. She starts forcing doors because she has already told everyone the door was coming. Never allow public expectation to make you abandon divine timing. Sometimes God is doing more work in you than he is doing around you. The hidden season is not wasted time. It is preparation. It is where character grows. It is where wisdom develops. It is where your foundation becomes strong enough to carry what you are praying for. And if you reveal everything too early, you may invite voices that create doubt before the vision has had time to mature. This is why a wise woman learns to protect the beginning of what God has placed in her hands. Not everything needs to be announced just because it excites you. There are people who will smile when you share your plans while secretly hoping those plans never become reality. Not everyone who says they support you is prepared to celebrate you when your success becomes greater than theirs. Some people are comfortable with your progress only while it remains below their own. When your plans stay private, envy has less information to work with. When your next move is unknown, unnecessary interference becomes harder. Silence protects momentum. Privacy protects focus. A wise woman lets God reveal her results instead of constantly advertising her intentions. Results can silence criticism in a way explanations never will. When something is truly being built, you do not have to defend it every day. You do not need to convince everyone that it will work. You need to keep working. Let the process speak. Let the fruit speak. Let the finished work speak. Too much talking can drain your energy and scatter your attention. Focus becomes stronger when it is protected. There is power in working quietly while everyone else is wondering what you are doing. You do not have to prove that you are moving. You only need to keep moving. And here is something worth remembering. People cannot easily interfere with what they do not know. Protecting your plans also protects your emotional energy. Every explanation creates another opportunity for someone to question you. Every announcement creates another expectation you may feel forced to satisfy. But when you keep certain things private, you give yourself room to make mistakes, learn, adjust, pray, and continue without constantly performing for an audience. That freedom is valuable. A woman who knows how to protect her process does not need applause at every step. She understands that the goal is not to look successful while building. The goal is to actually become successful through patience, discipline, and obedience. Protecting your plans can also deepen your relationship with God. When you stop constantly asking other people to confirm what you believe God has shown you, you begin learning how to trust His direction more deeply. You become less dependent on applause and more guided by conviction. You stop asking, do they think I can do this? And begin asking, am I being faithful to what I have been given? That shift creates maturity. A woman who walks quietly with God can become powerful in execution because she is no longer distracted by the need to be noticed. She does not need everyone watching her progress. She does not need constant encouragement to keep moving. She knows why she started. She knows what she is building. She knows who gave her the assignment. There is discipline in waiting until the right time to speak. There is strength in knowing that not every revelation requires immediate announcement. When God gives permission to speak, your words can carry greater weight because they come after preparation. And when He has not given that permission, silence can become an act of obedience. Many women struggle because they feel misunderstood. But being understood by everyone is not required for obedience. What God has placed on your life does not need a committee vote before it can succeed. You are not required to make everyone comfortable with your calling. You are not required to make everyone understand your direction. Some people will understand later, after the evidence appears. Others may never understand. Either way, you can still obey. The woman who guards her plans is not hiding from people. She is respecting the process. She understands that timing is part of obedience. She knows that something can be good and still be released at the wrong time. She trusts that what is truly ordained by God cannot be destroyed by human opinion, but careless exposure can create unnecessary delays, pressure, and distractions. So learn to wait, learn to build, learn to pray, learn to move without announcing every step. If this message is speaking directly to you, remember this: you do not need to explain what God is still developing. When the right time finally comes, you will not speak because you desperately need approval. You will speak because the foundation is ready. By then your direction will be clearer. Your confidence will be stronger. Your work will already be speaking for you. The results will carry a weight that promises never could. You will not need to convince people that you are called to do it because the evidence will be visible. Beloved, understand this with depth and balance. Spiritual intimacy is not noise, it is weight. What God entrusts to a woman during prayer is not always meant to be explained, announced, or displayed. There are moments with God that are meant to remain sacred. Not every spiritual experience needs an audience. Not every revelation needs to become a conversation. Not every burden needs to become public information. Some encounters are meant to be carried quietly until wisdom gives you permission to share them. Not everyone knows how to understand spiritual depth correctly. Some will admire it, some will question it, some will feel uncomfortable around it. Others may misunderstand it completely. This is why wisdom teaches a woman to treat her spiritual life with reverence. Your intimacy with God is not a performance. It is not a competition. You do not need to prove how deeply you pray or how clearly you hear. Your relationship with God should produce fruit in your character, not simply attention from people. Spiritual depth can attract attention, and attention is not always harmless. When private spiritual matters are exposed carelessly, they can bring unnecessary pressure, comparison, pride, or confusion. There are struggles that begin because someone announced their level before they were prepared to carry it. There are things that should be strengthened in secret before they are displayed in public. So guard your prayer life, guard your convictions, guard what God is teaching you. Share with trusted, mature people when wisdom requires it, but do not turn sacred experiences into a search for validation. What God is building in you does not become more valuable because everyone knows about it. Sometimes it becomes stronger because you protected it. And this is where discernment matters most. Exposure should follow establishment, not replace it. Let God prepare you privately, strengthen you quietly, and reveal you at the right time.